Chanukah Sameach, everyone. It's so good to be talking to you once again. We find ourselves always in the midst of Chanukah also talking about Yosef HaTzadik. And as much as Chazal have so much to offer, sometimes we can lose a little bit of the flavor of Pshuto Shel Mikra. So I'd like just to step back for 1 minute and look at the story of Yosef just from a very human perspective. Not Chas v'Shalom to be mezalzel in the Avos HaKadoshim in any way, but just to talk about a young boy who must have been hurting very badly. Imagine he loses his mother at a very young age, and he's favored by his father, but it causes disfavor amongst his brothers. And you see that Yosef is trying so hard to be close to them. He brings his dream to them. He's sharing with them his dream. Look, Chaver, we're together. Here's my dream. And they reject him. He comes again with the dream. He's just so much trying to be there. But the brothers could only see him from a distance. That's what the pasuk says. They saw him from a distance. They could only see him from a distance. Imagine that your own brothers plot your murder. They plot your murder and they throw you in a pit with snakes and scorpions. Chaval, what a painful situation for a young man. And then finally Yehuda, who's coming to save him, sells him to a band of Arabs going down to Mitzrayim. And then he gets to Mitzrayim and he rises up in the house of Potiphar only to have the very fabric of his morality questioned. And he finds himself in jail. But at least in jail he makes a couple of friends, but even those friends ultimately forget about him for 2 years. What a painful, painful situation. But it gets worse, because now even though he finds himself as the viceroy of Mitzrayim, still, his brothers come and he knows they're looking for him, and they come in through 10 separate gates, because they're looking for him on the slavers' market, because that's the way they think about him. And even when he calls them in to see him, they don't recognize him. And isn't that the story of the loneliness and the rejection of Yosef HaTzadik? You can't see me. Rashi says it's because he had a beard. But a beard is a very thin mask. A beard is only a mask if you couldn't possibly be Yosef HaTzadik, the viceroy of Mitzrayim, efshar, because that would have meant that the dreams had come true. And for the Shvatim, that just wasn't part of their reality. Imagine the pain of having his own brothers look at him, and they still couldn't see him. And then the pain of watching Yehuda stand up for Binyamin and saying, I won't allow you to take Binyamin, it will kill my father. And finally culminating in Yosef HaTzadik crying out and saying, Ani Yosef, ha'od avichai. You can imagine, just from a very human perspective, what it must have been like for Yosef HaTzadik. But what does he mean when he says, ha'od avichai? Ha'od avichai. We knew that Yaakov was still alive. Yosef knew he was alive, that was the whole story. Maybe we could say like this, Ani Yosef. I am Yosef, but you don't understand what I've been through. You don't understand all the pain and all the suffering. You couldn't possibly think of me as Yosef, because how could I have survived all of that loneliness and all of that rejection? How could I have survived? How could I have kept Avichai? How did I keep my father alive? And the answer, I believe, is in the word ha'od. Because every day a little bit more, I just kept going. 5 more minutes, then 5 more minutes, then 5 more minutes. And it felt like I was mamish going to break. But I can do 2 more minutes, and I can stay away from this Avera, and I can stay away from that Avera, just 1 step at a time. That's the way I survived, with that Bechina of Ha'od. And perhaps we see that in the halachas of Chanukah as well, in the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Do we count down or do we go up? And maybe on one hand we're counting down, we're getting closer and closer to Yemos HaMashiach, but we paskin like Beis Hillel, we're going up, hold on for 1. If you can hold on for 1, you can hold on for 2. If you can hold on for 2, tomorrow you can do 3. The day after that you can do 4, ultimately culminating in Yemos HaMashiach, in that which is Lamala Min HaTeva in 8. It has been such a dark winter here in Eretz Yisrael, and Bechlal in the whole world, in London, in France, in San Bernardino, and especially here in Eretz Yisrael, the whole world is crazy. And we're suffering so much from fear and rejection and loneliness. Befrat on a familial level, to be a Jew today is so painful. It's so painful, we feel so alone in the world. But even the world at large, everybody feels so alone and so rejected and so painful. In the concept of terrorism, people living in fear, how do we hold on? How do we keep Avichai? How do we keep our faith and restore our humanity? Ha'od, a little bit more, Chaver, a little bit more. You feel like you're about to give up. How can I do it, Rebbe? 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Keep lighting those candles, Chaver, keep lighting those candles that illuminate the entire world. It's not the time for a flame. Just 1 candle can illuminate a tremendous amount of darkness.